Good evening, and welcome to another vitriolic version of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your vengeful and vindictive host, Voice of Doom. Hello. I hope you're not getting tired of me, but I have to do diatribes more often in the last few days. And I have to have a little belt more often. Take the edge off because the reality of the Armageddon and the apocalypse can be disconcerting, even to someone like me who was expecting it. So, I did a diatribe this morning, railing about the situation, and I'm going to go on. Now, the war hasn't started per se yet. They're bombing the hell out of Gaza. But what's happened is this. People are weighing in on the situation, and the divisions are growing deep in what used to be America and across the globe. Now, I already mentioned that there were demonstrations across the world in support of Palestine and, by association, support of Hamas. And they've always come to feel sorry for the Palestinians because of their plight of being without a homeland and being abused by the Israelis. So that continues, but they are becoming a little bit more open about their attitudes. And I am not talking about the skinheads, and I'm not talking about the white supremacists. They don't have to do a damn thing. They may be fascist, Nazi, Jew-hating white boys, but they don't have to do a damn thing because it's being done for them by the left-wing wokesters. The wokesters have shown their hand, and people are seeing a very dirty hand, a filthy hand, a bloody hand. And they're slowly starting to wake up. Now, I think they're rubbing the sleep out of their eyes, but I don't think it's going to be quick enough. By the time they fully wake up, they will be blinded by a flash of light. So, the wokesters. Sydney, Australia, thousands of wokesters, left-leaning, lovers of peace, lovers of all mankind, live and let live, stay off my body, don't tell me how to change my sex. The tolerant, the peaceniks, the hippies, chanting gas the Jews. Now, even in Nazi Germany, most of the populace, the civilian populace of Nazi Germany, knew nothing about mass murder and death camps. If they knew anything, they turned a blind eye at times, and sometimes they're just like, I don't want to even look over there. If I don't see it, I can't say I know it's happening. But many didn't know it was happening. And you certainly didn't see demonstrations in the 1930s saying gas the Jews. They had demonstrations saying, don't let Jews do business, get rid of them, deport them. Yes, there were demonstrations. I'm sure there were. But they didn't say gas the Jews. Now they're saying gas the Jews in Sydney, Australia. All right. UCLA and 51 other college university organizations across what used to be the United States have sent letters of unwavering support for the Hamas uprising. Now, in order to uprise, you have to have a reason to uprise. And I don't see what the reason was. They say occupied, to shake off the oppressors, the colonialist occupiers. Now, Israel got out of Gaza in 2006, okay? And most of the Jewish population in Gaza were told they have to move, and that's why there was a lot of angst and unrest in Israel, because they didn't want to move their homeland, and there were settlements and all kinds of nonsense going on, all for the last 50 years. Don't put the settlements here, you have to move, you have to move, you have to... So to say that the Israelis are occupying is a misnomer, unless what you mean is the Israelis are occupying the state of Israel, which is not theirs and belongs to Palestine. You understand? So these UCLA groups, university groups, Harvard groups are throwing their hat in the ring with Hamas and saying they support the uprising, which means they support beheading babies, they support burning people alive, they support shooting people in their sleep, they support torturing and killing kids in front of their parents and parents in front of their kids. And they endorse kidnapping and holding hostage and making human shields out of Israeli captives, and they endorse making human shields out of Palestinian civilians. So let's not kid ourselves about the poor Palestinian civilians that are suffering, because it didn't take more than 2 days before everyone started going, Israel's too heavy-handed. Look how many people have died in Gaza in the last 2 days, over 1,000 people. At the rate they're going, you see how bad they are? Now, I'm going to take another swig so I can think. The Palestinians are abusing their own people, and they always have. I mean, the Hamas, which is pretty much the main government of Gaza and so-called Palestine, whatever you want to call it, they abuse their own people, and they'll use them as shields, and they'll use them as fodder, and they'll use them any way they see fit. Now, the common thread of all these letters of support is that Palestine has been under siege and under occupation and have been killed, and many people in the U.S. Congress and many people in what used to be this country are saying, all of a sudden you're all worried about a few thousand Israelis getting killed and tortured and burned. You never worried about all the Palestinians that have been killed by the Israelis over the years. And that's going on all over the place. And the thing is, I don't think I've ever heard or read or seen one incident where everything's peaceful. Gaza hasn't sent off any rockets in months. The West Banks haven't sent over any rockets. Lebanon hasn't sent over any rockets. And Israel decides, oh, well, let's just lob a few rockets at Gaza. Let's just blow up a few things in Gaza because it's too quiet around here. Never heard of it. I've never heard of one incident that was initiated by the Israelis where we're just going to lob a few bombs over there. What happens is Gaza lobs a few bombs, Hamas lobs a few bombs, and Israel responds in kind, and then civilians get killed on both sides, and Israel gets blamed. It's like fighting back to a bully and finally putting your fist right between his eyes and giving him a concussion, and it's like, you're blamed. Well, he's been picking on me all this time. I finally fought back. Now, There was a lady on the news who said her friend got a message on Facebook from her son. The message was sent from Hamas, and it showed them killing her son and his girlfriend and sending it to her on Facebook Live. She gets a call from her son thinking hope against hope. Maybe he's okay, he's calling me. And all you see is your son standing there looking scared, and suddenly he's shot dead in front of your eyes. So the torture goes on. And these people that are sympathetic to Hamas will end up just as bad, if not this lifetime, another one. They will end up born in the sewer and being used as human chattel. Now, just happened to notice another thing. A lady was saying that the one good thing that's come out of this debacle, this heinous war crime, and by the way, they're already saying that Israel's guilty of war crimes because they're bombing Gaza. I'm talking about the UN and all these guys, and Putin and dog wipes and idiots and Soroses and mucuses that are all saying, Israel's guilty of war crimes. Yes, Hamas, that was very bad, but Israel's guilty of war crimes. But this lady says it's kind of one good thing is that people are noticing that the wokesters are Nazis. They've been awakened to their Nazism, and people are going to notice it. Those lovely BMWs, BLMs, and Antifas are all stark raving lunatic Nazis who say gas the Jews openly in public. So that's not going to fly very much farther. Wokesterism is dead. It's as dead as Hamas. After this is all over, wokesterism is going to be a dead species. Completely extinct. And I'm happy about that, because I can't stand those people. Speaking of not standing people, I could never stand Jamie Raskin, a.k.a. Jamin Ben Raskin, full-blooded Jewish Democrat, wokester, idiot, mongrel, going after Orangey all the time, ignoring Petri dishes sins. Total cur. And I noticed the desperation on his face when he was being interviewed. I could just tell that he's caught between a rock and a hard place, because he's a full Jew of Jewish persuasion, but he's got to adhere to his left-wing Nazi credo. So his career is over, and good riddance to that. And I'm just going to report it hour by hour. I'm not going to do one every hour, but just keep you up to date, because tomorrow's another day, and we'll hear about more war crimes by Israel and how they are at fault. And more people will either forget about or turn a blind eye or applaud and support atrocities. So you can see how humankind has degenerated. We're worse than Nazis. Not all of us, but we're getting to that point where people are openly being Nazis. And the people that make out the best are the real white supremacists who didn't have to lift a finger. Petri just sends his 27,000 FBI agents out to find national terrorism caused by white supremacists, and they're sitting at home with a jug of whiskey going, we don't have to do a damn thing. What is Petri dish talking about? All we have to sit back and watch the left-wing idiots do our work for us. So they're in the catbird seat, and we'll leave it there. It's very confusing right now. And as a coda, I will say I talked to Benjamin. He's on his way to El Paso. And I told him to expect to be in a more tense situation than he would have been maybe 2 weeks ago, because if they're not clamping down on the border now, when there's obviously a worldwide jihad being called out, where obviously they're loosing all the dogs, and there's probably sleeper cells and people trying to sneak in, they better damn well get the border straightened out. We have bigger fish to fry than worrying about busing people and busing terrorists to New York and Chicago. So Benjamin's going to be in El Paso tomorrow, and he's going to report to me firsthand on what the situation is. So I should have some good stuff for you. So that's that. I didn't say a lot. A little bit of news, a little bit of observations, but things are very interesting, and I'm going to keep doing diatribes until it's all over. They may shut the internet down temporarily if things get out of hand. So we'll leave it there, and bye. Oh, blue and white, out of respect to our Israeli Jewish brethren, who I wholeheartedly support. Goodbye.